How is the president's effort and emphasis on increasing U.S. trade and also raising tariffs affecting the Arkansas and U.S. rice industry?
None can compete with Arkansas farmers when it comes to rice.
We are, without a doubt, number one, okay? We're number one by a wide margin.
An amazing 50% of America's rice is raised on Arkansas farms. It's an important crop for many reasons.
For over half of the world's population, rice is the main food staple for those people, and many of them eat rice 3 times a day. Because of that, rice is probably the most political crop that's grown around the world. Here in the United States, it's estimated that U.S. rice, generates over $34 billion of economic activity. So in many ways, it's big business as well.
But business is not great for Arkansas farmers. This year, they'll face the steepest rice price drop in decades, down 37%.
The good old U.S. is an open door.
Keith Glover serves not only as Stuttgart-based Producers Rice Mill president, but also chairs USA Rice.
Today's prices.
He explained the industry's challenges at this week's meeting of the Rotary Club of Little Rock.
The U.S. imports a lot of foreign rice. And this year, that number is going to be roughly 1.5 million metric tons. And the most disturbing trend about that is that number doubled just in the last 10 years. So if we see that number double over the next 10 years, we're going to be even Steven as far as what we export and what we import. Our tariffs on rice coming in is only about a 1 to 3% tariff. 80% of that 1.5 million comes from 2 countries, India and Thailand. If we were to export our rice into Thailand, we'd be charged with a 52% tariff. If we were to export our rice to India, it would be either a 70 or 80% tariff. So when President Trump earlier this year announced his reciprocal tariffs, which mean whatever you charge us, we're going to charge you in return, we applauded. A lot of the other ag industries were nervous about how it may affect their exports, and they didn't quite get on board. But we did, and I think we're going to reap some benefits for doing that. We used to export 150 to 175,000 metric tons to the UK. Nearly all of it came out of Arkansas. Now we're only doing 10 to 20,000 metric tons. But rice was mentioned, trying to get U.S. rice duty-free into the UK, and I think it's going to happen. Another big announcement, Japan has agreed to buy an additional 75% of U.S. rice. And so that's big news, and when it happens, it's going to have a positive impact for our farmers as well. We have been the beneficiary of numerous free trade agreements that have dramatically helped us. Prior to NAFTA, Mexico only bought about 200,000 metric tons of U.S. rice. Today, they buy over 900,000. And Mexico is our #1 destination. So most years, depending on how strong that export demand is for U.S. rice, is largely going to dictate and determine what kind of price that farmer is going to receive. In the early 2000s, the Indian political leaders, got very concerned because there was very few stocks. They were concerned about a drought and what that may do to the supplies of food for their people. So they came up with a subsidy program where they effectively pay the input cost on about 75 to 80% of the inputs that the Indian rice farmers use. The Indian farmers responded and started growing more and more and more. And instead of taking the excess rice and making sure all their people are being fed, they're dumping a lot of that into the world market. A year ago, when they were concerned about El Nino, they put a ban on export rice. They lifted that ban last September, and when they did, world rice prices dropped roughly 40%. I admire them for making sure their people get fed, but when they subsidize their farmers way over what they're allowed under the World Trade Agreement, they are way the heck over. And whenever they overproduce and they start dumping rice into the world market, that's when they muddy up our creek. We need to hold them accountable and get them to play within the rules that they agreed to in WTO. Because of the glut that India has, the world is kind of awash with rice right now.